Hi, this is Dana Hawkins, and this is from I Will Always Love You, Maybe. I like to refer to that time as the avalanche of the misguided and terrible decisions era. The year I spent making one bad decision after another, like some weird tangled snowball that grew bigger and more powerful the further it rolled down my shame hill. Truly, the amount of things I screwed up in such a short amount of time is damn near impressive.
Thanks for listening to Read Minnesota Books. I'm your host, Deborah Copperrood. I forgot to say that in my last episode, so I was an anonymous podcaster, just like one of the protagonists in Dana Hawkins' new book, I Will Always Love You, Maybe. Dana is a contemporary romance author who wrote the Single in Seattle series. I Will Always Love You, Maybe is part of her Meet Cute in Minnesota series, and the novel was just published on February 10th by Storm Publishing. It's about Colby, who's a dog mom and grieving widow living in a cozy northern Minnesota cabin, and Josie, a vet tech who's trying to find her niche in the world. After Colby's golden retriever Kona has surgery, Josie impulsively goes above and beyond to get the dog home, which is when Colby and Josie's flirtation begins. Hi, Dana. Welcome to Read Minnesota Books.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
What is your connection to Minnesota?
So, Minnesota, I was born and raised in central Minnesota, and I stayed here through college. And then after college, I moved out to Seattle for 20 years and started a family, I had my career. And then 3 years ago, I moved back. I wanted to be closer to my family. I wanted a quieter life. I just wanted to calm down a little bit. And so me and my family relocated back to central Minnesota.
Awesome. Tell me about your latest project, I Will Always Love You, Maybe. I'm like pausing because the maybe is in parentheses.
Totally fine. So this book, in general, I write very fun, sparkly, happy sort of rom-coms. And this book is a little bit of a departure. It still has sparkles, it's still fun, it still has funny moments, but it is a lot more emotional and heartwarming and heartfelt than my other books. So the story follows Colby, like you mentioned in the intro. She is a widow. She's a grieving widow. Her wife died 6 years ago. And then it follows Josie, who is a vet tech who helps her with her animal. And it is a forced proximity. It is really like an emotional healing journey. It was a very difficult book to write, I will say. It I had to step away from it a lot of times. So I don't normally cry while I'm writing, and I did while writing this one. And so I was like, okay, I'm hitting on something. I need to take a break. I'm a little too like invested, or it was just striking a chord in me. But I absolutely loved how it turned out. It was emotional and beautiful and really, I think it fixed a little bit in me maybe as I was writing it, maybe therapeutic. But yeah, so that is what the story is about.
Oh, that's great. Colby is a podcaster, which of course I love that. I think the only other podcaster book I've read was Rebecca Mackay's I Have Some Questions for You, which is like true crime podcast, totally different than Colby's podcast. My question for you is, how do you choose the professions of your characters? Are they intentional? Do you come up with them like with a creative lightning strike?
When I first started my first books, I was doing professions that I had once had myself or was intimately involved with it. So my debut a couple of years ago was about a coffee shop owner and a writer. So I'm not a coffee shop owner, but I often write in coffee shops for years and years and years. That's sort of my happy place. So I felt really comfortable about writing about a barista lifestyle. And then I'm a writer, so it's easy to write that. I have books about being a bartender, and I used to be a bartender back in my day, a hairstylist, and I was a hairstylist back in the day. And so all these sort of professions that I've once dabbled in, I started incorporating. Then, and even podcasting, I did podcasting for a hot second, and then I didn't finish it, but I had a little bit of knowledge of what you have to do for it.
Yeah.
I that is how I started. And then with this, and then it sort of ventured out because I ran out of jobs that I've done myself or ones that are boring, or babysitting or whatever back in the day. But for this one, I really hit on the vet tech because that was so deeply personal to me. I have my own dog, Kona, in real life, had
Oh.
CLC surgery in real life, which is what I put into this book. And so the experience of all these experiences that happen in this book happened to me in real life. Of course, not, the relationship, not all of that, but like the struggle of caring for your dog and how are you going to lift your dog into the car and things that you hadn't thought of that happened right away in this book that she's panicking. She didn't think of, oh my gosh, my dog can't walk and I need to lift her into my lifted Jeep, which is what I have. And just sort of all the dog wearing the cone, all those things. So that was all from personal experiences. But yeah, so the job typically is something that I have, but I think my next one, I'm going to have to just shake a dice or something. Thank
I love that you're using your eclectic resume in
you.
your work.
Yeah.
This is a forced proximity lesbian romance, and I don't want to give too much away. The forced proximity situation is a totally appropriate weather scenario for northern Minnesota. Can you tell me a little more about this trope? What are some forced proximity situations that you've used before or that you've thought of? Are there any that are just too absurd that are stranger than fiction?
Forced proximity is one of my favorite tropes. And I rarely come across ones that I don't like. And I even though this particular book is friends to lovers, I actually love forced proximity enemies to lovers when they're just not feeling
Mm,
each other and they're forced to be together. But I feel like something that would not work for me in my books would be some sort of crisis situation. Like you are put together because aliens have taken over the country or like there's an earthquake and you can't move or things like that are kind of built on a basis of trauma or devastation. I don't think would work for me for my books. I think there's a ton
hmm
of books there that do it really, really well and they have a gazillion readers, but yeah, I think that would not work for me.
And there's a lot of food in the book. I would like Colby's stew recipe. And then there's a bakery that plays a big role in the book. And I'm wondering, do you have a favorite Minnesota bakery?
I do actually. That's a great question. And the food too. It was funny when I was writing the food scenes in there, I kept getting really hungry and like putting this little note when I meet my deadline, go make stew or go do this or go find, whatever. There is this really small bakery in central Minnesota called Cold Spring Bakery. And it's like a town of I honestly don't even know how many are in that town, maybe 5, 10,000 people, maybe it's more, but it's pretty small. But they have these things called mocha bars. And you would think it's like mocha, like coffee, but it's not. It's more like peanut buttery and moist and delicious. And it's fantastic. So when I grew up, I think this bakery has been around for like ever. I remember having it as a kid. When I moved out to Seattle, every time I came home, we would travel there to go get these like mocha bars. It's just, yeah, it's delicious.
That sounds really good. Who is your favorite Minnesota writer?
So this is kind of a tough one. I narrowed it down to two. So Mary E. Roach, she's fantastic. I really like her work. I've met her in person. She is just a wonderful human, and an incredible writer. And then Abby Jimenez, I'm a huge fan
Oh,
of,
sure.
of her stuff. Oh, and she has a great bakery too. I've been to her real life bakery as well in Maple Grove. But yeah, so I think those two would be my favorite.
Those are good ones, except I don't know Mary Roach. What does she write?
Oh, she writes sapphic as well, but I think she also has non-sapphic work. So the one that I read of hers, I think it was called We Are the Match, and it was like a Helen of Troy retelling. It was really cool.
Okay.
So yeah, yeah, but definitely look her up. She's great.
And how have you been dealing with the federal occupation that is not over?
It has been really tough, and I don't want to make it about me, like tough on me. It is tough on the community. I think that there is a lot of national media attention on Minneapolis, and there should be. There's a lot of things going on in Minneapolis, but it is absolutely, absolutely hitting our smaller towns that I live in, the more rural areas, and suburban areas. It is devastating these communities. There are families that are displaced and hurting and really struggling through this time. And so it's awful. Like it really is. I don't even know how else to just it's a humanitarian crisis. It's scary. It is nerve-wracking. But what I will say, the one thing that I've noticed throughout this entire situation is the incredible resilience of the community. I'm getting goosebumps even saying this. I have never seen people rally the way that they have to kind of sort of take care of their fellow person. People who would never even normally dabble in anything like this, whether it be protesting or delivering groceries or bringing people to doctor appointments or any of that, who are normally very isolated from those things,
Hmm.
have completely stepped up. So the community protection and resilience is pretty incredible. It makes me really proud to be a Minnesotan. It makes me really proud to be here. But it is not over, and I don't think it's gonna be over for a long time. And so I just hope people stay aware of what is happening and know that even if it's not in the news and it's not on your TikTok algorithm anymore or whatever, it is still absolutely happening. But yeah, I really hope that it gets better. But yes, so it's terrible. And then also the community is just amazing, is really stepping up.
I appreciate your perspective. We do see so much about the Twin Cities, especially Minneapolis, in the news. And it's great to have like that greater Minnesota, central Minnesota perspective because
Mhm.
it is
Yeah,
like a whole state
yeah,
thing that we're going
yeah,
through.
it really is. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Are you on social media and where can folks follow you online?
I am on social media. So I technically have a TikTok account, but I do not like myself on video. I've tried. I make these videos and it will be like 20 minutes long and I'm like, what am I doing? And I try to edit. Pretty terrible. And so my youngest son was like, well, I'll just cut a couple of videos for you. And it took him like, 12 seconds and he made this edited video and it was great. But in general, I'm on Instagram and I'm pretty active there. So I'm at D.Hawkins author, which in hindsight, when I created that name, I really should have just created it as Dana Hawkins and I didn't. I was new to social media, but I'm really, really active there. I like to do a lot of giveaways. I like to engage with the writing community a lot. I like to engage with the readers. There's nothing like seeing people you don't know post about your book. I just like it is
Yeah.
the most heartwarming thing. And so when I see those and when people tag me in that, I always try to comment. And if I don't, it's in my heart that I'm commenting because it's really incredible. So yeah, I think Instagram is probably the space. And every, once a month you might see something on TikTok.
Okay, so I will link to those in the show notes. And then the third book in the Meet Cute Minnesota series comes out later this year. Is that right?
So this is kind of interesting. This is the third book in the Meet Cute in Minnesota. So I had kind of the stars just collided at once. I ended up getting two book deals with two different pub houses almost simultaneously. And so I do have a book coming out in a month with a different pub house. It is also based in
Oh,
Minnesota.
okay.
Yeah, no, that's totally fine. Sometimes I get confused myself where I'm like, wait, what am I doing? Where am I going? Which one am I editing at this time? But that one is based in Stillwater, Minnesota. And where these books right now, the Meet Cute in Minnesota series is based in a fictional town called Spring Harbors, which is sort of this combination of like Duluth and Two Harbors and Grand Marais and like all the yummy parts of Minnesota up north. But the other one is a single standalone with a different pub house.
Got it. Well, thank you for
Yeah,
clarifying that.
of
I
course.
appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for speaking with me, Dana. It's been great to have you on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. This was awesome.
Now for my recommendations. Because we just learned about Dana Hawkins' romance, I Will Always Love You, maybe, I want to highlight a fun place to shop for her book. There's a romance bookstore in Minneapolis called Tropes and Trifles. They have all the romance you could want to read, events, even a craft book club. It looks like a super fun place to shop, and I'll link to it in the show notes. And that concludes this episode of Read Minnesota Books. Thanks for listening. Stay safe. Goodbye, friends.